Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we are going to rank the movie Batman suits from 1989 forward. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent Casino. We are here in my man cave. Sometimes I like to call it the Batman cave, as you will see later on in a future video. It is mostly Batman stuff in here, with a little smattering of some other comic stuff, as you'll see behind me. And when we do the tour, you'll see that as well later on. But today I have a very special feature I want to do for you, and it is ranking the movie or film Batman suits, live action from 1989 on forward through today, through Justice League, the movie that came out 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to do Batman 66 in this ranking. It's cool for the time. It's just not fair to rank it against the more modern technology, you know, from the 1990s. I mean, I know Batman 89 came out in 89. It's probably shot in like 88 or 87 production design, you know, a little bit further on. So we'll say 87 forward, but it's just not fair to rank it against it, because I'm going to rank it last, because not for nostalgia reasons. I didn't really watch the show that much. I'm just going to rank it last for aesthetics. You know what I mean? So, but here we go. So here's how we're going to go. I am going to throw some images up on the screen as I'm talking. I'm looking down at my iPad with the aforementioned images, and we're going to pick apart these Batman suits, and I'm going to give you the reasons why I think they're cool or not cool. And we're going to go in chronological order, starting with Batman 89 through the Justice League suit that we saw 2 weeks ago. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to rank them for you for my ranking. I want you to let me know your ranking when we're done. I think we have 12 Batman suits total. Now, I'm not just doing the main one in each film. I'm doing every Batman suit that appeared on film on celluloid. So, Mask of the Phantasm, it's animated. I'm sorry you're out. I'm talking real physical Batman suits, things that passionate people built to make Batman feel real. So, let's start from the very beginning. Batman 1989, directed by Tim Burton. The actor wearing the Batman suit, or the main one that was advertised, there's a lot of stuntmen in all these films, obviously, but the main actor advertised is the one and only Michael Keaton. Some say the best Batman, others disagree. That's a video for later. But anyway, the Batman 89 suit is, if you see me looking down, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the images, but the Batman 89 suit is a good starting point. I'm sure when people saw it in 89, I was 3 at the time, so I really had no first impression to recollect on for you. So any of my opinions are purely based on what I've seen since Batman Returns, I think was my first thing I saw. But it's very bulky, and it screams first try, but it screams good first try. The main good thing about this is the shape of the cowl. They nailed the shape of the cowl. Even though they were limited, they got the shape right. It screams Batman. It is awesome. Another thing that they got right, I think, is the way the cape is, and where the logo is on his chest. It's right in the center of like his sternum. It's got a bright yellow. The bat symbol on it is weird though, and this has always bothered me, and I never have seen an explanation for it. It's not on the Batman 89 DVDs. I don't know if it's in a commentary track, but I'll throw an image up here. The Batman 89 symbol he wears on his chest is not the symbol they went for in the marketing. And in fact, it's a bat symbol that's not appeared in the comic books as far as I know. What's different about this symbol is that on the bottom piece of the tail, the very tip, the thing that makes it, you know, the symmetrical point on the bottom of the bat logo here, it's got 2 extra little scallops that go kind of sideways. And it always threw me off, because I know the poster is the classic gold Batman symbol, the yellow oval, and this just doesn't match. Now, I don't know if that was a mistake or on purpose. It's awkward. So I would presume that they liked this symbol, figured it out, and then marketing came in and said, no, we can't do that. It looks too different from what's out there. We got to go with, you know, the gold one, the one that you see all over any Batman merchandise right now, unless you're doing like Dark Knight or Justice League, but the usual Batman yellow symbol, the one that Batman is wearing back here. It's a little out of focus back there, but that's that. It is Michael Keaton. He's got a like a face on here that's very shaped. It's very it's a little menacing, not quite as menacing as we get later on, but he's got the black makeup on in the eyes. And what was weird, because Batman is usually drawn with white eyes, you can't see his pupils. Now you can see his pupils, and that's almost been consistent in every Batman suit so far, and we'll get to those later on. But it's a pretty good Batman cowl. It screams Batman. My problem with it is it's a little thick, if you know what I mean. Also, we've got, what is cool about this cowl is the scallops on the bottom. It's actually one piece from like mid-shoulder up. So the cape is on underneath. You got the symbol on. I don't know if that's part of it or not. And then he like places this whole cowl thing over his head. Now, when you're looking at the rest of the Batsuit, let's talk about it here. We've got an image of him in front of the Batmobile. This looks like a Greek god, basically. You got the Adonis abs. You've got this cool, I don't know if it's functional bat belt, but it certainly is cool. It's got like a little capsule design and stuff, and we kind of really didn't see Batman use it, but that belt buckle just is so cool. I remember having a toy belt buckle like that in or bat belt and just thinking it was awesome. The gloves, we got some scallops on there. They've got some armor padding or armor plating or something on the forearm, and they look kind of like motorcycle gloves. So it doesn't quite look slapdash, but it doesn't scream custom to me. So there's a lot of room for improvement. But all in all, for the first attempt, he looks great. And I'm sure people who were didn't know what to expect were very pleased when they first saw these images, first saw Batman on the screen. Also, let's talk about the capes. I think most of the capes have the scalloped edging. None of the capes that I think I've seen, at least, have like the straight edge, kind of like Superman's cape. These all have the bat scallops, which I think continue on throughout the films. So let's move on to the next film, Batman Returns, 1992. I think this came out. And for me, this is a much better, much improved design, just in terms of the cowl. Everything else is pretty much the same, but the cowl, I don't know what they did, but it doesn't quite look as rubbery, as thick tire rubbery as the Batman 89 one does. This looks much sleeker, it's much thinner on Michael Keaton's head. It actually looks like it's form-fitting to his head as opposed to like a helmet or something on the last one. And also, they got the bat symbol right, as in it's consistent with the marketing. It's the single line down the middle, no weird side edges or anything like that. The belt's the same. I think the other thing that's different about this suit is the gloves and also the abs. The abs are no longer the Adonis, you know, human figure abs like you would if you carve somebody into stone. They're more industrial looking. They've got some weird straight edges and stuff like that. In fact, all the scalloping of like his chest muscles to make him look more muscular is also very industrial, and I like that look. I think it goes great. Obviously, with the rest of the production design of the film, Anton Furst, I think, did the first Batman 89. I think the second one as well. And he's got a great production design, and this matches that perfectly. So in the film, it looks fantastic. Great film. Well, maybe not great film, but great Batsuit. Great Batsuit. This is one of my all-time faves, but we'll get to the ranking later. So the next film, we have enter Joel Schumacher. We now have a new Batman. Val Kilmer is wearing the Batsuit, and it is very reminiscent of a mix of both the 89 and 1992 Batman Returns Batsuits. So Batman Forever, Val Kilmer, Joel Schumacher fighting the Riddler and Two-Face here. We took that, I think like Joe Schumacher was very into like toys and the idealized image of Batman, so he took that 89 chest and abs area and just cranked it up to 11, as you will see here. Everything is like super etched in there, super defined, but he has the correct bat symbol. The yellow is not as prominent. It's more of like a subdued gold on this one, so it's not quite as noticeable all the time, but it is there. And I do like it. The cowl is a little different. You know, the shape of the length of the ears is maintained pretty much the same. It's very consistent. He's kind of got like a light scowl on his face for this one, as opposed to 89 was kind of like always looked like a more raised eyebrow. Like both of them were like that. But very cool. What's different about this costume, and I think this introduced it, is that the cape no longer is resting underneath the cowl or the headpiece here. It's attached via something else, like two little attachments here on the chest, and kind of draped behind Batman. So he's usable like that. So it looks like the headpiece, at least anyway, is part of one entire suit. You never really see how this is like laid out or anything in these movies. But it looks like it's one piece. It looks like he's one person. It makes him probably feel more supernatural, and then he grabs his cape and swings on and attaches magnetically right here on his chest or something like that. Also, people make fun of Batman and Robin for the bat nipples, but as you'll see here, it's not Batman and Robin that introduced it, it is Batman Forever. But I think why this doesn't get as much attention of it is he wears his batsuit for maybe 75% of the film, as we'll get to in a second, and the nipples go away when he changes batsuits. And also, this batsuit still has the black color scheme. You started out with Batman 89 is black, Batman Returns is black, this is very black. You know, to keep on with everything else. Also, the gloves still have some ribbing right here on the knuckles, which is very similar to the Batman 89 motorcycle-looking gloves. The scallops on the gloves look great, and we got a new belt here. This is a purely black belt, and instead of this weird Batman belt buckle from before, the gold one, it's another bat symbol on his belt. Do we need another bat symbol on Batman? Probably not. We still got the one up top that's gold. That's supposed to make him a target for criminals and stuff, gives him something to shoot at. If you read, I think it was Dark Knight Returns kind of explained that that's why it's so large, that's why it's big, that's why it's bright, because there's extra armor underneath that area, and he wants him to shoot him. If he gets shot at, he wants to be shot at in that area where there's the most armor as opposed to anywhere else. You know, so it makes sense. But the belt buckle, it looks cool. He's super ripped. I think it's a great looking Batman costume, and Val Kilmer, I think, makes a great looking Batman. Just the way it is. So later on in the movie, we got to go to like the Riddler's hideout, and Batman gets this new suit. I think it's called like the sonar suit. This is also what he's wearing whenever you see him next to Robin in the film. Robin's suit is cool. We can do that in a different video, although there's not much to rank. It's either like this and Batman and Robin, the Nightwing wannabe suit that we see in that film, which I do like. But this sonar suit is a different approach to like the muscle ripping. This one looks like you've got like your skin or something and the muscles are kind of ripping out of it. You've got a lot more scallops, some curved edges and stuff, and the bat nipples go away, and instead of the smaller bat symbol here on the chest, we get one that takes, you know, just over the sternum, we get one that takes over the entire pectoral area of Batman. And we move away from the black into more like a gray, silvery, almost bluish Batman suit, and you'll see that later on in the next film with George Clooney. Also of note here on the Batman Forever, the scallops kind of go away, whereas the other movies we had 3 individual scallops, 1, 2, 3, and this one is kind of like more of a 3 ridge, you know, almost like a dragon scale, or if you were to draw a wave form, you know, with very slight tips, it looks like that. Still got the bat buckle on the bottom. It's a little bit of a different design, some more color down there, but all in all, it's a pretty cool suit. Also, the mouth opening's got these little jagged tips in here, which sometimes you see in drawings, sometimes you don't. And as part of the sonar suit, he's got like these weird things on his bat ears. I guess there's technology layered in there. I can't remember exactly, but it makes it look a little different. All in all, I like this suit. I don't quite like the things on the sides of the head, that design, but the rest of the suit I think looks very cool. And I like that it's lighter because you can see the bat symbol on it. And we'll get to some other suits later on, which I think are not as good. So very quickly, we'll move into Batman and Robin. We've got George Clooney in the suit, still Val Kilmer directing. This one, when you look at it, has more of a bluish tone. Definitely blue. It's almost like he was going for the Jim Aparo version and Neil Adams version of the bat suit. And I think that's where this one breaks from reality. Whereas the bat sonar suit was gray, this one is definitely more of a purpley blue. And I think that's what, since it's more visible to the camera, that's why everybody noticed the bat nipples on this film as opposed to the last one, which was pure black when they had them. So most of the time, I think think they were out of the shot, whereas now, since it's blue, it's always lit, you can always see them, and it's maybe something he was going for. But other than that, this suit kind of looks identical. The chest area looks identical to the one Val Kilmer was wearing. The abs and stuff is exactly the same. The bat symbol is a little bit different from Val Kilmer's one. In his first suit, they removed the yellow. The bat symbol is actually more raised and has a lot more contours to it. So when you're looking at Batman from different angles, it's harder to recognize that it is the bat symbol as opposed to just like the flat, you know, kind of flat bat symbol that's just raised up a little bit. This one is like kind of wavy and stuff. It's strange. Also, the gloves. It seems like we ditched the regular gloves from Val Kilmer's suit and went with the ones from the Sonar and painted them blue. Instead of 3 individual scallops, this has got 3 wave, or kind of the ridge line wave design here. You know, all in all, it's not bad. It's still got the cape attachments here up on the shoulder bone, collarbone, and also the expression on Batman's suit is not quite as angry. It's more subdued. You can see the eye lines here, but you can't really see anything threatening. If you're looking at Batman, he looks just kind of old. There's no inherent expression in the cowl. It's just kind of there. And I think that's why, you know, when you look at George Clooney's performance, it is what it is, but it's not amplified by the suit, you know what I mean? If you have a really expressive cowl, anything you do in there that is threatening is going to be amplified that much more. And since George Clooney didn't have that, I think it did a disservice to him. Okay, so the next Batsuit we have in Batman and Robin is the dreaded Ice Batsuit. They wear this to go up against Mr. Freeze. Gotham is frozen solid, and for some reason, probably toy reasons, and it worked in Batman Forever too as well, they said, we need a new suit. Now, just looking at the design, it's very similar to the Sonar suit we saw in Batman Forever, but I have more problems with it, and it's not due to the design mainly. If you were to make this monochromatic, this would be a really almost a cool looking suit, just looking at like the chest down, and not looking at the arms or anything like that. There's extra shit on the arms I don't like, but just looking at the chest, if you were to make that monochromatic, I think that would make a kick-ass Batman suit. Just in terms of design. Now, it seems like we inherited the Sonar cowl from Batman Forever, but we just painted it silver in some other areas to kind of highlight that those ridges were there. You know, we've got, let me look at this bat symbol, see if it's actually the same. It's not the same. It's a little more contoured and raised again. It's got some more lines to it. It does look cool. I do like it in terms of just the bat symbol, but it's also, it seems like it's also a little bit bigger than the one Val Kilmer was wearing at the end of his movie. What really hurts this design is the silver. You've got the blue suit underneath, which is pretty much the same color as the one he's wearing at the beginning. And then you've got this silver on top. Now, it does make it stand out, and I will talk about needing Batman needing something to stand out with visually later on when we get to Justice League, because I think there's some major missteps there. But they've just got some weird armor. I don't know if it's armor, just some weird silvery designs on their arms and stuff, just extra stuff that was added that doesn't look functional at all. It just looks ridiculous. Also, he's got like a weird silver T crotch. His belt is no longer functional, whatever function it had in the Batman Forever one. Anyway, they got rid of all the silver, or the cylinder idea things. And, you know, now it's just there. It's just there to look at. There's no bat symbol on the bottom anymore, but there's a big silver codpiece. Like, look at my big Batman crotch. Also, he's got the silver accents on like his thighs right here on his legs that don't make any sense. And it looks like they actually got rid of the scallops on Batman's gloves on this one, which is surprising. I wish they hadn't done that. I think it would have saved him if they had kept the scallops. So, you know, when people talk about Batman and Robin, they talk about this Batsuit and how terrible it looks. In terms of design, I think if you were to strip away the silver and just make it monochromatic and then start peeling back these extra arm and thigh armor pieces here and just kind of going for a more sculpted look, or if you wanted them there, the extra armor, just make them look like a big shoulder pad on top. You know, we'll see this later on with Justice League. It looks like he's got extra padding in his shoulders and chest and stuff like that, and you can see the seams, whereas this just looks like a bad ice tribal tattoo wrapped around his bicep. So all in all, if you just were to cut out like the pecs down to the belt, it's not a bad batsuit right there. But everything else, all the extra stuff, just ruins it. So let's get into some more really good Batsuits, and let's travel forward in time to 2005 with Batman Begins. We got a brand new director. We are much far removed from the 1997 Batman and Robin film. We've got Christopher Nolan directing, and we've got Christian Bale in the Batsuit. Now, I am wearing a Batman v Superman shirt. This is not my favorite Batman movie or favorite Batman suit, for that matter, or actor. My favorite is Christian Bale. I've since grown out of those shirts, so I don't have anything to represent my favorite, but he is represented here in the Batman cave, as you will see in a separate video. So Batman Begins. He's got one suit throughout the entire film, and you see him kind of building it from like a spelunking suit that was developed in Wayne Industries here. But there are so many things I love about this suit. Let's start with the cowl. Now, we got shorter ears this time, and I like the length of these ears. I think these are the perfect length of ears. They are long enough to be discernible, but they're not long enough to be kind of ridiculous. And the Batman and Robin, Batman Forever ones, we were kind of bordering on ridiculous. A little bit more, I mean, they're almost as tall as my hand here. A little bit more, you would have been ridiculous area. But I think where, you know, they got it just right in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. But let's talk about this cowl expression. This cowl expression is fucking fierce. I mean, I do have a picture of a Batman just kind of, you know, Val Kilmer just standing in the cowl, and he's kind of expressionless below here, but he still looks menacing because of the cowl here. So all of the stuff that Christian Bale was doing in this film with the voice and everything, and I'm Batman, all that stuff, he had to, you know, kind of project out and grit his teeth, and all that showed up here in his, you could see some of it in his eyes, but all that was amplified by this fantastic expression on the cowl that just screams menace sometimes, especially when it's like tilted down. It looks fantastic. Otherwise, it's a very basic Batsuit. In terms of the gloves, they're just like very silicone or rubbery. He's got like one solid sleeve for the gauntlet, and he's got the scallops, which we learned in Batman Begins are actually for sword fighting, which is kind of cool. Break apart a sword that way. Didn't know that. Or maybe they just made it up for the film. The arms, there's really nothing to them. They're just kind of there. You know, nothing really extra about this suit. Again, with the abs, we're not really going for an Adonis look here. This looks functional. This looks like armor plating, and they showed us that with the spelunking suit in the beginning of that film. So I think that is very cool. Also, the belt, we go back to the gold belt via Batman Forever and Batman 89, and I really like this belt. It's got like some weird... This one actually has pockets, or... what are these? These look like little boxes. They're magnetic boxes that he can actually put on the belt for different situations. And we'd see Batman use them in the film, which I think is great. We didn't really see that in some of the other ones. It's got like a little wind-up thing to make him go on the zip line stuff on the belt here. A lot of functionality here I think is really, really cool. The bat symbol it's a different take. It's not gold, it's not oval. It does continue the across the whole pectoral thing that we saw with Batman Forever in the second suit, and the second suit in Batman and Robin, which I like, but it doesn't quite take up the entire pectoral area. It does have more of a design and scallops to it. I do like this bat symbol. I don't know why it wasn't used in the marketing. I really do like it. But for whatever reason, in the marketing in this film, they decided to go with that straight edge bat symbol, which is what he used his batarangs, looked totally different than what was on his chest. And that's what they went with, and that's what stuck later on in other films. But all in all, this is a great Batsuit. Really, really great Batsuit. So let's get to The Dark Knight. Now this, and also The Dark Knight Rises, they're kind of I would presume they're the same suit. As the story goes, Batman retires at the end of The Dark Knight and disappears for 7 or 8 years and then puts the same suit back on. So as far as those two movies are concerned, it's exactly the same in terms of our ranking. I don't know about specifics. You know, if you're a costume designer, let me know what's different. I'm sure something's changed from movie to movie, you know, to make it a little bit more wearable and things like that, but just pure design looks exactly the same. The cowl expression looks very similar. It has changed a little bit. Yeah, I would say it changed a little bit, but it's very much kind of the same idea. The mouth opening looks the same. If you didn't have them side by side to look at exactly, you probably would think it's the same expression, just that they cut off the bottom of the neck. As they showed in the film, this is the first Batman that can turn his head side to side. You know, every other Batman up until that point had to do what we call the bat turn. Not Adam West, obviously, but, you know, Michael Keaton is famous for these turns where he turns his whole body shoulder to shoulder because he can't move his head. Just, you know, think of doing like a 180-degree spin, and that's what they were doing in movies up until that point. This Batman can do side to side. He can look up and down. I think there's like a famous scene, or not famous, but there's a few scenes in those first 4 Batman films when Batman has to look up. He does like a back bend, because remember, his head is just like right here. So the only way he can look up is to bend backwards instead of just moving his head. So what's different here? Lots of things are different. He's got like exaggerated knuckles on his fist here for more damage. The gauntlets have an even different design. There are actually 6 scallops per gauntlet, and you'll see in the film he can actually like shoot them out. I think that is super cool. And also there is like, it looks like they, oh that's right, they actually fold into, the reason why there's 6 of them is because it's like split down the middle, and they can actually fold into the gauntlet, and he presses a button, they pop out, and then he can shoot them or eject them at people at will. So you see that scallop design in the gauntlet as like a carved out piece, and if you were to lay them flat, it would probably just look like one solid piece. That is actually super cool. I love it. The underlying thing here is that it looks like armor. It looks like not quite a suit of armor, but an armor you would be able to move and do martial arts in. It's a lot of smaller armor pieces in the suit as opposed to one giant piece of thickened rubber or Kevlar or something like that. He looks like he's got some sort of like mesh undergarment to wear that everything attaches to. But it looks very cool. They make a big point about this in the movie. It's, you know, gonna stop some bullets, but it's not gonna stomp any knives, especially if they get you in between those armor creases. The bat symbol, got the straight edge bat symbol. You know, it is smaller than the old bat symbol. It's only really from about like halfway in his pectoral muscles inwards. It's not very big, but they do help you find it because it is raised. So every time it's lit, you can see it. And also it's kind of set on this big stripe, or you know, half of his pectoral muscle is kind of cut in half on the bottom side, and that part is a different color. So every time you're looking at Batman, you've got this color delineation to help pull your eye to that bat symbol, which you would want, or he would want, if you're a criminal and you're looking for something to shoot at. Kind of gives you an indication that that's an area to shoot. It pulls your eye towards that. Everything else here is kind of like this dark gray, not quite black, not quite black, and well, that's important later on when we get to Justice League. It looks black, but it's a very, very dark gray. But I think what's great about this color is that you can see it. You can see it when he's, you know, he can disappear in a pure shadow if he wants to. He wraps that big, almost velvety cape around him at this point, and he disappears at that point. But when he puts that away, it's a different enough color from the blackness, depending on how they light it, of course, that you can see him, and that's important when you're watching these films. You need to be able to see Batman. especially if you're watching him from Batman like I am. The belt is pretty much exactly the same from the Batman Begins belt. No problems with that there. He's got like a big shoulder piece of armor here. You know, everything about this just screams functional, screams lightweight, screams mobility. I definitely think this is by far the coolest Batsuit that we've seen yet. The design, I love everything about this. Also, too, we're continuing the theme of the cape attaching upward here on the collarbone as opposed to on the chest with the Batman 89 and Returns films. I think that's very cool. Just a lot of detail. Even the leg muscles, like there's individual plates on his legs all the way down up until you get to the boot, you know, all the way down towards the knee. Just what a great Batsuit. I'm frothing at the mouth over this thing, I'm sorry. Let's get to the most recent movies. Now we've got Zack Snyder directing with Batman v Superman and Justice League, or parts of it anyway. And you've got the most comic realistic Batsuit, or comics loyal, or what's another way to put this? True to the comics. There you go. This is a Batsuit that is the most true to the comics, and we are directly aping the Dark Knight Returns look done by Frank Miller for Batman v Superman. I do like this suit. It looks like it's a fabric weave over whatever, you know, or something like what Bruce had on in the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. So it looks like it's hiding all these little armor pieces. You can see some seams on here. You know, I think a lot of the suit, though, is actually like muscle definition for Ben Affleck to make him look bigger, and I think that's where the suit is a detriment. Whereas like Christian Bale's suits, you know, he was big, but he was defined. You know, he's not a very tall guy. I think Ben Affleck is over 6 feet. He's like 6'3" or something like that. So he's a very large man to start off with, and then you add on all this foam or whatever the fuck is underneath this Batsuit, and it just makes him look like, you know, the Puff Marshmallow Man sometimes in some shots. But what I do like about this Batsuit is the color differentiation. I gotta give it to them there. They do have a dark gray or almost black cowl and cape. They have a lighter gray Batsuit and the same gray as the cowl bat symbol on the top. What I don't like about this bat symbol is a lot of things. I mean, look, it's on my shirt here. Look at it. I know there's a Superman thing on top of it, but you can barely see the ears on the top here, and I'll throw up an image of the logo as well. You can barely see the ears of the bat symbol. The tips are so small on any edge on here. It's almost unrecognizable. And this is, I think it's probably okay on the Batsuit, but it looks terrible in the sky on the bat signal. It just looks like somebody cut a square out of the bat symbol circle, you know, and did a bad job at it, or rectangle, whatever. It looks just like a rectangle V, basically, because they took all the curves out of the bat symbol, which I don't like. And if you look at the Frank Miller drawings and stuff, and that's what they're going off of, they missed the mark on the bat symbol here, in my opinion. As for the belt, we've got a kind of a dark gold belt. It's got a lot more pockets and stuff that we've ever seen before. It's very Jim Lee-ish. He was famous for like big pockets on Batman's belt. You can kind of see it back here, maybe a little blurred out, not quite in focus. But it's not a bright gold. Also, too, I didn't notice this until you get in like the close-up shots, and you can't really see it in the film, but in the promotion pictures, and if you get like an action figure of this particular Batman suit, he has knuckles on his glove, and they are gold as well. And also, he's got like a gold toe on his boot, and it looks like the scallops on his you know, forearm, his gauntlet, are gold as well. So it's got some gold touches, some yellow touches in there, I guess, to harken back to the gold oval. There's a lot of seams on his Batsuit. It definitely looks weathered and torn. Looks like he's been wearing the same thing for 20 years, which is kind of the thing in this movie. I've been doing this for 20 years, or with a modulated thing like that. All in all, the cowl, not a very menacing expression. It just looks blank. It just raises his brow here a little bit. Doesn't look angry at all. Just kind of looks blank, and I don't think that helps Ben Affleck. I don't know, maybe if it moves more, but also I can't don't remember ever seeing him really turn his head side to side in the regular Batsuit. So can he do that? I don't know. But let's move on to what is the better Batsuit in the Batman v Superman film, which is the armored version. And this is pulling from Frank Miller's armored version in The Dark Knight Returns #4. This thing looks great. This is like, if the Frank Miller armored version was cool, but it was very basic. I mean, Frank Miller is sometimes a very detailed artist, sometimes he's not. Very blocky. This keeps that blocky feeling, but makes it look like armor, like functional. It's definitely a step up of the armor from The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. But very, very cool. I love the light up eyes. This is the first time Batman has pure white eyes, and it's because it looks like there's a bunch of LEDs that light up a screen or something for his digital readout, even though quickly into the fight he's missing half his mask, as is typical for superhero films. But it does give us some great looking images of him against Superman with the glowing white eyes. So let's get to Justice League. This is not my least favorite, but it's one of the ones I have the most problems with, because, and people might say, why? It's basically the Batman v Superman Batsuit, and I would say, no, it's not. I mean, it may be visually, design-wise, yes, but the color is terrible. The color is terrible. On some of these, it looks like they lightened it up so that you could see them. But when you look at shots from the movie, it's all black. And I read on, there's an article on Cinema Blend on Monday this week about how the costume designer wanted to lighten up Batman's suit because we're going for a lighter tone in Justice League. Well, whatever they did when they put it through the color grading on the film or the finishing, it didn't work, because half the time Batman is in this film and you look at some stills and things like that, he does not look lightened up. He looks like they darkened him up. The gray is darker. In some shots, it even matches, it looks like it almost matches the color of the bat symbol and the cowl, which I have a big problem with, especially we're talking about that idea of, you know, being shot at and wanting to be shot at up here in the chest where you have more, where Batman has put more armor. You miss that idea when you have a tonally similar gray suit and you don't have a yellow oval or anything to pull it away from. Also, there's a shot with the, you know, all the gold trim we talked about in Batman v Superman that was kind of cool and harkening back to stuff. All that's pretty much gone. His gauntlets are, you know, they're pure black. It's like he spray painted over them with black. I don't know if this is his like Superman morning bat suit, but all the gold stuff is gone. Even the belt is pure black now, which is disappointing. It does look like they changed the design of the gauntlets a little bit to break them up. And they definitely added some more, not texture, but padding. Like there's, on Batman's shoulder, there's a definitive square on right here on his shoulder where it looks like you could like slide in a piece of armor or something like that. And there's that in the abs here as well. So that is a little bit different than Batman v Superman, but it's very hard to see in the film, and you can really only see it in the production stills from there. Also, too, let me try and find, they did give Batman more of a scowl on here. He's definitely, it looks like he's furrowing his brow as opposed to the Batman v Superman one where it's kind of blank. So definitely more menacing, but I think what they missed is, and I didn't really talk about the ear length on the Batman v Superman one, they went with the Frank Miller, the short ears, you know, where it's almost indistinguishable. But here, the Batman v Superman one, they did the short ears and it looked fine because they were distinct. They were, you know, when you look at like the side profile of it, it was like flat on the top, ear, down, back of the head. Whereas the Justice League one, it's almost curved from the way his head shape is, like aerodynamically curved, and then, so curved and then curved up into it just a little bit and then back down on the back of the head. And I think what that does is it creates a problem with Batman with his silhouette, and silhouettes are very important when you're in these visual mediums. It just looks like, you know, it doesn't look like he has ears in some of these shots. At least the ones, you know, some of the ones I found you could see them, some of the ones you can't, but I'm trying to illustrate my point in that his ears, the curvature into the ear takes away from Batman's silhouette, which is bad. You know, also too, there's a more curved thing into the middle of the head as opposed to the straight edge of the last Batman v Superman film, and that also doesn't help the silhouette. It takes the ears away, it takes the edge off the ears, and you don't want that in a batsuit. You don't want that in a batsuit. You want to keep that edge. They gave him an edge with the brow, but they took away the silhouette edge up here on the top of his head, which, you know, makes me upset. A huge Batman fan as I am. So that's my real nitpick. I mean, there's one shot where Batman looks like totally blue here from the poster. That is probably more Photoshop coloring, but it just, if you can make it the same color by putting like an overlay on and turning the blues up on Photoshop, and if your whole entire suit looks the same color, then you've got a problem, because you did not differentiate those tones enough in your original design to make that not be able to happen. One thing I did think was interesting, though, is they released a bunch of character posters for Justice League, and they're all kind of standing independently. And Batman in one of these has a silver bat symbol on his chest. What's that you say? A silver bat symbol? Yes, a silver bat symbol, which against an all-black bat suit looks fantastic. It delineates Batman and the symbol and, you know, gun shoot here. That whole thing, I don't know what it is. Just that one minor change just, oh, made me so happy. I was like, oh, I wish they'd do this for the movie, but I already know that's not true. But for whatever reason in the marketing, they had to make his bat symbol brighter so you could tell it was Batman. What does that tell you about the design of the batsuit? Thumbs down, that batsuit is not very good in Justice League. Now, I know we're talking small changes from Batman v Superman, and I just talked about Batman v Superman, how true to the comics that batsuit is. But you make a little bit of changes in that color tone and that bat symbol in the ears, it just lowers the bar. It lowers the score on this batsuit so dramatically that when you change just the bat symbol color to silver and make it stand out, it looks great. What the heck, guys? Obviously, I feel like they had a problem. I hope if there is another Batman movie, whether it's the Matt Reeves version or a Justice League 2, I hope they go back towards Batman v Superman with the gray and the black. I like it. I like the true to the comics look here with like the hidden armor, if they can find a way to make it less bulky, and give me some bigger, more defined ears. Do that and make the color differentiation thing different as well. If you want to keep this bat symbol, that's fine. Just give me some differentiation so I can tell what it is. Make the ears larger up here. Make the ears larger up here. Make the scallops on the symbol larger over here as well. That would be my critique. So that's the Justice League bat symbol. We didn't get to the tactical suit, which is the last one that we will talk about here on BK's Bullets. And what is there to say other than this thing is, well, it strides the line between ugly and cool. It's not quite as spot on as the Dark Knight suit, and it's not quite as ugly as the Batman and Robin ice suit. It straddles that line. You still have the loser cowl. He's still got the terrible ears. Now, he looks more like Owlman here than anything else from Watchmen, especially because they gave him these goggles, which he has on or up during half the film, and I'll insert some Night Owl things here from Watchmen, and he looks almost exactly like that guy. And that is a terrible thing for Batman. You do not want to, you want to look like Batman. You don't want to look like Night Owl? Come on. Other than that, the armor's cool. We get some of the gold back into the costume here. You know, and a lot more armory and stuff. The bat symbol is actually more defined, not defined, but it's more readable because, hey, he's got a different color underneath it. It's more of a lighter gray in some areas around the bat symbol than it is the black that it was earlier in the film. So yeah, I mean, this tactical suit, a lot more armor, a lot more color, but the design on the top of the head is what's most important, I think, on some of these bat suits, and they just lose it. They just lose it. Such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. So that is our last batsuit that we have to talk about. So let's rank them here. This is my ranking. So if you disagree with me, let me know. Let me know what your ranking is of these 12 batsuits here. These are all the Batman on film on celluloid, other than Batman 66. No animated stuff, just a real person in a real suit made of rubber or silicone or whatever it was from Tim Burton forward. So number 12, the worst batsuit is the Justice League batsuit, the original, the one that's monochromatic and you can't tell it's Batman. At number 11, the second worst Batsuit, we have the ice suit from Batman and Robin with the large silver things and the weird tribal silver shit on the arm. At number 10, we have the Justice League tactical suit. A little bit of improvement, but again, he looks like Night Owl with those goggles, and it's just, you know, straddles the line between cool and ugly. So, not quite a winner. Number 9, some Batman purists may hate me here. Batman 89. Yes, it's low, and I think it's low here because just purely on aesthetics level, it is thick. Some areas it looks unfinished, and it's not as smooth, but hey, it was the first try, so we will give them a lot of credit. Unfortunately, other films did it a lot better. At number 8, over Batman 89, I like the original Batman and Robin suit that George Clooney is wearing, the monochromatic one that's more blue, but it's got a lot of definition, and you can tell it's Batman. At number 7, we have the Batman Forever Sonar suit. I like that one. At number 6, we have the Batman v Superman suit. This is not the armor one. This is just the gray and the black. At number 5, we have the Batman Begins suit. I like that one. Number 4, we have the Batman v Superman, the armored bat suit. Can't say enough good things about it. I just didn't want to pick it apart. This video is already way too long, but you know, that's my number 4. My number 3, so we're in top 3 mode right now. The Batman Forever, the original bat suit worn by Val Kilmer. Even though it's got the bat nipples, it still looks fantastic. I love the ear length. I love the bat symbol. I love the gold. It's pure Batman in terms of Batman on film. Number 2, we have, drumroll please, the Batman Returns suit. Really like this suit. Really sleek looking, really industrial. And my number 1 pick for the Batsuit is, of course, the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises Batsuit from the Chris Nolan films. So that is my ranking on these 12 Batsuits on film. Let me know what you guys think. Where was I right? Right on target? Where was I wrong? What's your favorite? What do you like and don't like about particular Batsuits? Let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the funny pages.